Are we live? I think we're live. I had some technical difficulties, but I think everything should be working. Um, I know there's a slight delay. I think 8 to 20 seconds or something. So if someone could let me know if everything's working, can you see me and hear me okay in the chat? Uh, that's sick. I'm sure you're probably saying that to the intro. That intro took so long to make. I did a lot of 3D modeling and stuff with it. Um, I'm thinking if I want to use that as the new intro for the channel or just for live streams and stuff. But if you can hear me, okay, I see thumbs up. Yes, I think the delay is like 30 seconds, so it's a little hard to keep up with chat. But yeah, so today in this stream, I am going to be revealing the what is it? The new layout for this year's Christmas light show. And I'm also going to have some time for questions and answers if anyone has like any questions at all, light show questions, whatever, so I can answer those live. And also go over some random tips that I found in Xlights that are really cool, but they're just such small things that I don't think I could put them in a video, or maybe I could. It's just I don't have the time right now to make a video. Um, so before we get started, I must say I am super nervous, especially like this last 5 minutes. I wasn't that nervous, but now with all of the technical things I have set up right now, if any one of these fail, it's gonna make me nervous. And also, anything I say is live, so there's no editing. So that's also that. And one other thing, if you see this random text right here that's like backwards, that's because I don't have an actually good camera. I always use my phone for all of my videos and stuff. I don't have a real camera. So I had to use my phone as my webcam to hook it up to this live stream. And I used the software called DroidCam, but it flipped the watermark. And like always, if you've seen the other videos, I'm a cheapskate and I don't pay for things. I don't like paying for the pro versions of things. So I just use the free version, and that has the watermark on it. This stream, I think I talked about this in the membership videos about putting memberships on the channels or on the channel. I wanted these streams to be for members only like once a month, but I thought I'd make the first one public for everyone just to see how it goes. Maybe I might make more public ones, but I was originally gonna have them for members only, which I still am gonna have members only streams. I think I have one member right now, so whoever is that one member, thank you so much for signing up. And thank you everyone for watching right now. I think we have 9 people watching, if my analytics are correct. I have 4 screens in front of me right now. I have my 2 main monitors, a tablet that I have set up showing like the YouTube settings and stuff, and another one just with the stream running to make sure it's working. But I'm going to open up Xlights now. Hopefully there won't be any technical difficulties. And hopefully you should be able to see this. So let's see. Let me get my camera. There we go. So here's Xlights open. Just let me check to make sure audio is working. Looks like it is. Okay, so I have some new things set up. I have the layout in Xlights. The layout is 99% confirmed. I think this is what it's going to look like for this year's show. There's not a whole ton added to it, but there is some really cool specific things. Someone just said, yep, we could see it. Okay, great. So there are a few big things that I'm adding, but a problem that I've been running into with the past few years of the light show is we have completely run out of yard space. There's nowhere to put any more lights. Which is another reason as to why this year is going to be the final year of the light show. If anyone's seen the one video where I've talked about it, there's multiple reasons, but that's one of them. Just there's no more room to expand. Actually, for this year's light show, I'm going to be talking to one of our neighbors and asking if I can move something towards his property. So it all depends. I'm sure he won't mind, and if he does, that's not a problem at all either, because obviously I would be a little like, do I want a light show spreading into my yard? So I'd understand if he says no. I understand if he says yes, whatever. So there's that. And yeah, I don't think I'm gonna wait anymore. I'm just going to click the layout tab and show you. It's not too interesting. There's 2 main things that are new. And we have the dragon. I'm hoping to put the dragon in the Christmas light show this year. You might notice some Christmassy things on him. And I'll talk about all the things here in a second. Let me just close that. So, there's three main things I'm hoping to add to this year's Christmas light show. So first off is the dragon. The only reason I want the dragon in the Christmas light show too is just because I want more lights. Just without having to buy a whole bunch more lights, putting the dragon in would make it super easy. Because that's already built. I can just add a few things to make it look more Christmas-like. And I can also incorporate it into the story that the light show has too. Do something in one of the skits where the light bulbs, these three light bulbs, these light bulbs in the light show, this one is me talking, and I make all of the skits for them, and then I have my sister and my brother to talk as the other light bulbs, and we have skits and stuff during the Christmas light show and the Halloween light show. But, we could incorporate it into that, like, why is the dragon in the Christmas light show, and I could come up with some sort of story for that. So, there's that. As you can see, I have a candy cane in its mouth. I'm not sure if this is exactly going to, work in here. I don't know how it's going to look. It might look goofy, it might not, but I'm going to experiment with it and try a couple of different things. I also have a bow on its chest. I think this is the Biscoyo 23-inch bow that I was looking at putting there. So I'll see if that looks good too. I'm going to have to do a lot of testing, a lot of figuring stuff out. One of these super awesome things that I'm still not sure how it's going to work, but I want it in the show, I'm going to put it in the show, are the moving headlights that I got last year. I want these on the roof for the light show. You can see currently that they're pointing backwards. That's just how I have them set up right now, and moving heads are very hard to put into Xlights. I've been doing a lot of just messing around and experimenting with making them work. And actually, I don't know if you can see it with this camera view. Let me switch back here. Right there, you can see I have two of the moving heads set up, and I was programming them in Xlights, so whatever I was doing, they'd actually show up and make these work. That way I could make sure everything's working okay. So right now, I only have, wait, let me see which screen I was using. There we go. I only have two moving heads right now, and these are the two from Temu, which I'm not sure how, I still need to do a lot of quality checks to see if they're gonna last long, because they're from Temu, and obviously, everyone has, like, a little bit of just fear of products from Temu and places like that, just because there's always problems with them. So I haven't had any problems with these yet, but I'm going to do some testing. And for the other two moving headlights, I want to get more expensive ones that can actually have a lot of light and look really cool. So, I think you should be able to see my mouse. Yeah. So, the two middle moving headlights would probably be the dimmer ones, which are the Temu ones back here. And then the two outer ones, I want to get more expensive ones. I'm hoping that I can get them for like $300 or $400 a piece. I'm not sure yet. But if I could add these I feel like would just be super cool. Make it so it feels like a grand finale, final show. So that's that. That's the second thing. And then this third thing. I am very excited for this. I am not sure exactly everything about it, how it's going to be built, but I have some ideas. You might notice that one of the arches is missing. Normally we have a fifth arch right here in the middle of the yard, but I want to put a snow globe in the yard. I think it would be so awesome because I don't think anyone has made a snow globe in a pixel animated light show like the one I'm imagining. The main thing about it is I'm going to have the projector sitting somewhere right here where the pea stakes are, and I'm going to have it shine onto the snow globe. And I'm going to have to do some video editing with it. But I want it so I could project images onto the main center part of the snow globe. So there will be pixels around it, and you can see, like, all of these pixel dots. These are the, like, the pixels that are in the snow globe. And then this giant square is the projector where it would project, but I just have to trim out so it doesn't project in these areas around it. And that way it can project images straight on to the snow globe. I feel like that would be so awesome. I could put videos on it. I could put text. I could put a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not sure if the projector would be bright enough. The pixels around it might wash it out, so I might only be able to use the projector when most of the lights are off. Still, like I said, a whole lot of experimenting I have to do. It's not going to be anywhere near as bright as the panel screen, and that's just because the panel screen has actual pixels in it. Let me take a second to read the chat. So you're going to do some projection mapping in a way. Basically, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. What I'm thinking of doing right now and what I have set up right now, I'm not sure if it's going to work. I have a submodel on this matrix right here, because what this is, if I can click it, it's a matrix right here that just happens to be over top of this custom model that I have right here, which is the snow globe. And I have a submodel on it. I think I can open it actually right here. Let me take a look at it. If I can click the right buttons. I have one submodel called the off section, and as you can see, there's so many pixels specified in it. But what I did was I uploaded an image onto the matrix in this submodel window that showed me just the circle where I want the videos to go, and then I highlighted sections where the pixels were to make a submodel for those, and anything that's not in the circle is in its own submodel. That way, when I put a full video on it, I could put an off effect on that submodel, and that way, it should hopefully, which from my testing it looked like it's going to work, should only make the video go on the circle part. And that way, it's not projecting any farther behind it. I don't know if this is the best way to do it yet. I'm still... During this time of year, it's all experimenting. I'm just coming up with ideas, testing things, and just waiting till I find what seems to be perfect, and then I'll make that what's going to be for this year's light show. But I think I'm very happy with these 3 things so far. I wanted to add more, but I feel like it's going to make a lot of work for the upcoming summer and fall, and it's going to be so hard to focus on making the sequences good when I'm having to put all the work into the physical things. So I'd honestly rather have more good sequences, or not even more sequences, just good sequences in general, even if there's only 5 or 6, but have a smaller light show. Obviously, though, I'm meeting in the middle. I'm doing a little bit of a bigger light show, and also I want to have amazing sequences. I want this to feel like when you pull up to the show and just sit back, it's like you're in a concert, or not even a concert, just like a Broadway show. You're sitting there and it's just something spectacular. It doesn't even seem like Christmas lights. You're just so like involved with it. I don't know how to word it. It's just a thought I have in my mind. I just want it to be like the most awesome show ever to finish it out. I want people to be like, wow, that was amazing. How did this happen? So, that's my goal. I'm not sure if that's going to work or not. I hope so, though. So, this is the submodel. I'm not sure if there's any easier ways to do this. This is what I have right now, though. Originally, what I was going to do is have the projector in the back, sort of in this area, projecting behind the snow globe, so it shows up onto the front through like some, maybe like a sheet or something. But then I realized there's going to be a bright projector light behind everything. So if you're looking at the light show from like an angle, like let's say you're coming down the road and your angle is like this, then you could see like if the projector is going to be sitting here, projecting on here, you're going to see the bright light of it, which I didn't like. And I don't know why I didn't think of doing it from the front from the beginning, but then I was like, oh wait, why don't I just project to the front of it, and that should work. I see you got the moving heads on the roof. Yes, that is correct. I have the moving heads on the roof. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to set them up. I really want to. The biggest thing is, with everything with the light show, I have to bring the ideas to my parents and see what my parents think of it. My mom always loves the ideas. She thinks it's awesome. My dad thinks of it more on the practical side. Is this actually possible to do? Like, yes, it's an amazing idea. I want to see this happen, but is it practical? And I think that's honestly a good thing, because I would have a lot more failures with the light shows if I tried to do things that I didn't have someone else saying, well, this isn't really practical. You got to scale it down a little bit. So what he's thinking of right now is just how are the moving heads going to sit up there? How are they going to stay up there? And how are you going to keep them waterproof? Because those moving heads and the other ones I plan on buying, or I've looked at buying, they're not waterproof at all. So I have to build some sort of enclosure, but it also has to make sure it doesn't like affect the beam that's going to come out, because if I build like a square box that's clear around it, if the light shines into the corner, I think it's going to just mess up the way the beam looks. So I have to find some sort of dome that's either glass or plexiglass or something to put over it and keep it from getting wet. Another thing I have to think of is, how am I just going to get them to stay up there even once they're waterproof? Like, am I going to build a base for them? How is that going to attach to the roof? Am I going to need sandbags, stuff like that? That's what I have to think about. And also, we get snow. The weather here in New York is so random. I've talked about this in many videos. It could be snowing one day and summer temperatures the next day. For example, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, we still had a lot of snow on the ground because we were recovering from a giant snowstorm that we got. I made another video about that, where we had 3+ feet of snow, and I had to go dig out the controller boxes in the yard so they didn't get damaged. And then a week and a half later, the temperatures rose so fast that it went from that to 75 degrees 2 weeks later. I was outside in shorts working on picking up some of the final things for the light show. And now we're back to, as you can see right here, the temperatures are back down to 47 degrees. It was 20 degrees yesterday, so anyway, I'm digressing. We get snow. We could have snow some light show seasons, some we might not. It's random. We just always have to be prepared for the snow. So how are we also going to keep these snowproof? If they get buried in snow, how are we going to take them down at the end of the light show? Are we going to have to wait till April when the snow is gone? So these are all things I have to be thinking about, and I'm going to be thinking about this throughout this whole summer into the fall and even this spring. So, yeah. Any new comments in chat? I'm just making sure I don't see anything. Okay. So yeah, we have the moving heads, we have the dragon, and the snow globe. Now, the moving heads were very interesting to set up. I'm gonna just click on one if I can. There we go. Oh, maybe not. There we go. I think I might make a separate video just about DMX moving heads. Because there's so much to them. I kind of made a video when I unboxed those, but I want to show how to set it up. Fully, all of the steps involved. Because I had to go through here, fill out all of these values. Let me move my camera so you can see them. There we go. I had to adjust all of these values, like the maximum pan, degrees it can move, the range of motion, how fast it can move, what channels each moving head goes to. And it's just a whole bunch of little things. You have to spend multiple hours making sure it works and it's hooked up correctly. And the hardest part is if you don't have the items with you currently, it's even harder to set it up, because Xlights allows you to set up anything you want in your light show without needing anything. So I could make this light show 10 times bigger, even though I don't have the materials for it. And then I could continue to build it and adjust things as I go. Thankfully, I have 2 moving heads right now that allow me to kind of see exactly how they need to be set up, so I can make sure all the values are correct from the beginning. That way, when I make sequences, it's easier because there will be less changes I have to make as I'm going on throughout the season. But when I get these new moving heads, they're going to have different values and different channels from these moving heads, because I'm not going to be able to find the exact same ones, nor do I really want the exact same ones. So I'm going to have to guess or set these values to what I think they're going to be. I'm going to go through, do some sequences, and then later in the year, once I get the moving heads, I'm going to have to come back to the layout and readjust everything, go back through, and change the values, and sometimes that can impact the sequences. Then I need to change some stuff in the sequences. So there's a lot of different pieces that all have to come together perfectly. I see a new thing in chat. My Mega Tree is still up. I ran St. Patrick's Day stuff, and then I'm gonna run some Easter stuff here because programming is easier than taking it down. That's very true. I had a lot of people say I could just leave my show up and do some 4th of July light shows or Christmas in July light shows. And I would have, but the problem is we have extreme ranges of weather here. So we have like the snow in the winter, lots of snow, and then we get really high summer temperatures. Not like anything Texas like, but just summer weather here. And then we have to go through mowing the lawn and lawn care and all of that. And with all of the light show up, all of the piece sticks, all of the wires everywhere, it would be a mess. So that's why normally the light show comes down like the first week of January. It's been down the first week of January every year for as long as I can remember. Except for this year because of the weather and the snow, and that's why it didn't come down until a few weeks ago. So, and also I feel like it's almost just an eyesore with Christmas things out in March. So, that's why I try to take it down as soon as I can. And also it gives me like a break. I can be like, finally, I don't need to think about light shows for a month, and I could start worrying about this next year's light show. But that is a good idea. Whatever works for you, you could do it. I don't know of any Easter songs though, or St. Patrick's Day songs, unless you're just doing animations. Um, and that's one of the reasons why I don't do anything other than Halloween and Christmas, because those are the only two holidays I could think of good songs for. And then, nothing like wearing shorts in 75-degree weather with a foot of snow on the ground. That is so true. That is exactly what was happening when I was taking down the light show. There was still snow melting on the ground. It wasn't like fluffy snow. It was the icy type snow now that it was hot out. But I had boots on, in shorts and a t-shirt, taking down Christmas lights with snow still on the ground. It was it was just very interesting. So, I'm glad it's down though. It's currently all just shoved in the garage. I have to organize some stuff and move some stuff around so it can get to the right places. Because I cannot keep it all in the garage for the entire summer. We like to put bikes and other summer stuff out there, the lawnmower. A new shed might have to be built to keep all of this stuff stored. So, but right now it's just in the garage, and yeah. Marsh said, yeah, just animations, so that's cool. I'm assuming green colors for St. Patrick's Day, and then like pink, yellow, green, blue for Easter. There's a part of me that does wish I did more shows, but there's also a part of me that enjoys the break because it gets very stressful throughout the year thinking about all of this. So, yeah, moving on, I have the moving heads, like I was talking about. I have to just adjust a whole bunch of stuff with them. I wish I had them hooked up so I could show you them working now, but I don't. I had to unhook some stuff and move some controllers around. One thing I don't like about these moving heads is they have a color wheel inside. So instead of a lot of moving heads, they have actual bulbs that shine out and they just mix the colors like with RGB pixels. This has a color wheel inside. So there's one single light bulb and then a wheel with like different shades of glass that spin around. So if it's white, it won't have anything there. That way the white bulb can shine out. But if I want the color red, it has to turn the wheel to get to the red spot and then shine red. So that means that if I want the color yellow, that's all the way at the end of the wheel for my moving head. So it has to spin through the entire wheel, and the light will flicker red, green, blue, purple as it's going through each section, and then get to yellow. So that's another thing that I'm going to have to worry about when programming. Like, if I want to change colors, I'm going to have the moving head shut off first, then turn back on, so it's not just that flickering of colors while it's switching through the color wheel. I could go on for hours about things that I have to do with the moving heads, but I'm assuming most people would probably like me to continue on with some other tips that I have, that I was going to talk about. Something that I did do with the moving heads, and this is a tip, honestly, that I found very useful. While I was first getting them set up and figuring out how I'm going to program them and what I'm going to do with them, it was very hard to see why are the moving heads doing this. Like, I was trying to use groups to program them so I can make all the moving heads do something at once instead of an effect on each moving head. And it just wasn't working, and I couldn't figure out why. The moving heads were... They were just doing random stuff. So what I did was I made another model. So right here I have my 4 moving heads. And what I did was make another 4 DMX models, which I have in my unassigned preview right now. And I'll move these back to the actual preview. Let me select these and bulk edit, preview, default. So now it should be in the default preview. Yeah, there we go. Each of these represented one of the DMX moving heads, and I had these set to the exact same channels as the other moving heads. So like moving head 1, I have that here, and then I have another one called moving head vis 1, which stands for or I think I made it so it said visible. I abbreviate everything and then I forget what I abbreviated it to. But as you can see, DMX moving head 1 starts on it says channel 19,516 and ends on 19,527. And then right here it says a different channel value. I'm not sure why. I did have it hooked up in a way that there was some problem I had. Where I'm trying to go with this is it allowed me to see which channel is currently being turned on for each moving head. So I could see, oh, this moving head is moving this way. Why is it doing that? Well, let me just look at this effect. Oh, it's because channel 3 is set to this value. So it's not any additional props in the light show. All it is another prop that I put in and gave the exact same channel values as the first moving head. And that way they do the exact same thing. So if I put an effect on this one, which is DMX moving head Viz 1, and like put channel 3 to the max value, then it's also going to do the exact same thing for the moving head model right here. And that way I could just see what's happening. I put them in the unassigned view though, because I think I had everything figured out when I started doing a little bit of sequencing, but I might bring it back and forth while I am programming just in case I have more problems. So that's basically everything that's going to be added to the Christmas light show. Again, we're still going to have the wands and the wristbands like normal in the light show, but I'm not going to be buying any more because I still have like 75 left over from last year. We didn't sell that many, so hopefully this year we could sell some more for the food pantry like normal. So these will still be in the light show. And that is this little block right here. That's what I use to program those. I have a video where I talk about programming the DMX wands and bracelets and stuff, so I'm not going to get into that because I could also go on for an hour about that. Also, if I happen to be talking too fast or explaining anything that is a little confusing and you'd like me to go more in depth, please feel free to let me know in the chat. I'm watching it now. So, yeah. But we're going to have the dragon on the side. The reason the dragon isn't where the tree is because obviously the tree has always gone there. So I want the dragon over here. This is the part that's going to be moving over to the neighbor's property. And that's why I need to ask them if it's okay if I put it here. If not, I will figure something else out. And I'm sure because we live in a place where it gets wet very easily, it's going to create mud and holes everywhere. So I will repair that when I'm done. But yeah, so the dragon's going to be there. I wanted the snow globe right front and center because I want to display some really cool effects I'm thinking of. I don't want to spoil any of them just yet. But one thing I will tell you is when the light show's about to finish, when it gets to the grand finale ending, I always like to do some awesome song, do some awesome effects. And when it gets to the end, I want to have some sort of video on both the panel and the snow globe, with just me standing there thanking everyone for coming for the past 6 years, because it is going to be a very sad light show this Christmas since it's the final one. I don't want the whole thing to be sappy though. I have a whole text document that I've been coming up with ideas with. Normally what I do is I just jot them down as soon as it comes to my brain so I don't forget them, and then as we go along I piece them together. So I have sections of the show that are going to be super fast and upbeat, other sections that are going to be calmer and slower, and then I'm going to have this section at the end where I'm actually going to like pause everything to take a second and thank everyone for coming to the show for the past, is it actually 6 years? 2020 show, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2020. Yeah, this is the 6th show, and if you count the one in 2019 that failed, it would be 7, but that's crazy. Anyway, this is the final show, so I'm gonna do that. And I don't think I want to spoil too much more of the show right now. Um, so yeah, I think I'm gonna move on to the next part though with some interesting tips, some of which are very like, how do I want to say it? I should have known these things. I don't know why over the 5 years I've been using Xlights that I haven't figured these out, and I just am starting to use these, and it changed my life with sequencing. It makes it so much easier. So the first tip that I have is if you have any groups that are whole entire display groups, or one second, I see that I have a new message. The Disney parks and other parks use the DMX bracelets idea, so during fireworks, nighttime shows, they have Mickey ears and magic bands that glow and light with the show. That is really cool. I have always wanted to go to a Disney park because I've heard that they have these awesome fireworks shows at the end. I have unfortunately not gotten to yet, because I don't think there's any that are near New York. But the reason I like everything to be so amazing with all of these different effects is I kind of want it to give it off that feeling. I have the opportunity to give everyone the most amazing show, to bring holiday cheer, Christmas cheer to the neighborhood, to all of this area, and I just want to be able to do it in the most awesome way I can, so kids and adults at the end can be just like, how did somebody do that? How is this possible? And the best thing about this is I don't need to have like a whole Disney park to be able to do it. I don't have to have all of this super expensive equipment. While yes, a lot of this is expensive, I have the opportunity to do this with what I have right here, which is awesome. And it also puts on a lot of pressure too, that I don't want to fail and make everyone disappointed, and that's something I need to work on. I put a lot of stress on my shoulders throughout the year as the year goes on. I want to make it perfect. I want to be able to, in the future, with the knowledge I have with light shows and stuff, be able to move on to actually programming full-scale concerts and stuff like that. And I feel like this gives me an opportunity to do that now. I have just an awesome chance to do that. Anyway, I'm digressing again from where I was. So yeah, the entire display groups. So there's groups in Xlights, obviously, and you can use these to organize different things in your light show. So like I have this one group called All Flakes. All of the flakes in the entire house are in this group. That way, instead of having to put an effect on each individual one, I can go through and just put one effect on the whole group, and then it makes programming so much easier. I have one for like all the mini tree stars and all the mini trees, and then I have bigger groups like the entire house face, which has all of the windows and the garage and the door together, entire house plus tree, so anything that's touching the actual house and the tree, so like the roof outline, singing faces, doors, windows, wreath, the tree. And then I have entire display groups that include everything, so I have this entire display group and then one that has also the dragon involved with it. The reason I don't have the dragon in the main entire display group is because there might be effects that I don't want the dragon to have, and then I can have everything with the dragon on it. And then I have entire display groups that are the exact same thing, but then they say rendered last. And the reason for that, I'll come to that in a minute with another thing that I learned in the sequencer tab, so I'll come back to why I have those. But for these big groups, I recommend putting a special character in front of them. It's just a tiny little tip that I figured out that makes things easier. If you put like a plus sign or a minus sign or any character that comes before the letter A, it moves it all to the top. And that way it's easier to see these are my main groups, and then as I come down here, these are my other groups that are alphabetically ordered. Another thing, when you're naming props, always choose for the first letter to be either capitalized or not capitalized. Don't have some props capitalized and then others not, because the way Xlights sorts them in the list is it'll go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, alphabetical order, but capital letters first, and then lowercase letters second. So if I had arch 1, 2, and 3, and then arch 4, but arch 4 was lowercase, that's going to be all the way down at the bottom where the uncapital letters start, and it just makes everything harder to look through with it being organized and stuff. So I found that just to be a tiny little tip that helped me. And let me see, what do we have here? I love entertaining people, so Disney is always in my mind how I want my show and event to look. Like a show on Onondaga Lake with mist screens, lasers, actors, and pyro. I've actually thought of that exact same idea, so I'm assuming you're probably from around the area. So for those of you that don't know, there's a light show, not even a light show, just a light thing that happens in the area, in New York. It's called, what's it called now? Now I can't even remember the name. Oh, Lights on the Lake. And you can drive down this road. It's a very long road. They have lights decorated like crazy all the way down the thing, and it's right next to a lake. And they're not pixels or anything. It's just normal lights. There's a few animations, but it's not synced to music or anything. It's honestly always been a dream of mine to ask, like, hey, your show kind of is like boring. Can I come and put some pixels in it and sync it to music? So it's funny that you have the same thing. I also thought about putting lasers in the light show, but now I feel like I'm getting to a point where it's just, okay, take it easy. That's going a little crazy. So I'm not going to reach that point. Back to naming things. I don't think I have any other tips when naming things specifically. I'm trying to think of any, but I guess one thing that I changed that kind of only applies to me, the driveway arches here that I have are split up into there's 3 different driveway arches, and each of them have 3 sections. So this is section A, the top is section B, and this side is section C, and then we have A, B, C again, and then A, B, C again. I had them numbered 1A, 1B, 1C, 2A, 2B, 2C, 3A, 3B, 3C, but it kept confusing me because I couldn't remember, wait, is the third one the back one, or is the third one the front one? So I renamed them to the first letter being either B, M, or F, so B stands for back, F stands for front, M stands for middle. So this first one is like BA, BB, BC, MA, MB, MC, FA, FB, FC. So, yeah. What I recommend is just giving good things, giving good names to your props that you can obviously remember. Abbreviations are great. I like to use them all the time. But don't do something that you're going to forget, because then it's annoying and you have to go through and rename it and whatever. So that's mostly it for naming. Now I'm going to go to the sequencer, and I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do this, because usually I have my house preview on my other monitor, but if I do that, you won't be able to see it. Yeah, I live nearby. I'm the guy. Oh, okay, you're the guy that worked at the arcade. Okay. Well, thank you for watching, and that arcade was actually awesome there, so I'm hoping to come back at some point. Anyway, I digress again. I might just leave this, like, down here in this corner. I have an animation sequence open. I unfortunately can't sequence anything to music because everything's copyright, and I would get in trouble, and the stream would probably be stopped. So, I am going to, let's see, I'm going to put a timing mark, and what am I doing? Okay. I wanted to show something that I did with, that I found out with a bunch of these, that I could do with any of my props, is, as you can see, I have colors on them now. And let me move my camera to this corner so you can see. So, I figured out, I don't know how I didn't know this in the 5 years I've been programming sequences, you can color tag each of your groups and each of your items in your show so it's easier to find them. So, like all of the moving heads, I tag them to be purple so I could see anything that's in purple, that's a moving head. The light gray ones are the chroma bulbs. Anything orange is related to the dragon. I still have to put tags on 2 of them that I added. I have pink be floodlights, blue be flakes, and so on. You get the idea. This has helped me so much. I can't even explain it. Like I said, I don't know how I didn't know this, but with the size of my show, as you can see, the list of elements I have is so long now, and I have to scroll through to find each prop I want to put an effect on, and it just gets to a point where, like, I'm annoyed having to go back and forth. So now it's easier to spot out anything in orange. Well, now I'm in the dragon section. Green, yellow, those are the driveway arches in the mini tree section. The red is the candy canes, and so on and so forth. And the way you do this is you come onto the layout tab, and you just pick any item. So let's say Flake 3. You can right click it, or you don't even have to right click it. I think it's down here. Yeah, in appearance, you can open up the appearance section, and right here where it says tag color, you can set the color of the tag. So I chose aqua for all of the snowflakes because they're blue, or snowflakes are like blue, whitish, sort of. So that's why I picked that. And you might be saying, well, that's a great tip. I don't want to have to go back through and manually, like, click one item at a time to give it a color. You don't even have to, because you can select multiple items. So I have all the driveway arches selected. The way I did that was just click one and then shift click the bottom one, and it selects everything in between. So I did that. I right clicked and then go to bulk edit right here. I click tag color, and now I can bulk edit the tag color. It's as simple as that. And the reason I figured that out is I was just fiddling around with some settings, pushing buttons, because I like to do that every now and then just to see what they do. And I figured out I could color tag everything. So that was awesome. And I haven't even done much sequencing. I've maybe done like an hour or two of sequencing, and it has helped me so much within that hour or two of sequencing. I see we have some new chat messages. Hi, welcome to the stream, everyone who's joining. The next year is the worst, trying to remember what you did. Next year, I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. The next year is the worst, trying to remember what you did. Could you let me know what you meant by that? I'm not quite sure what you mean. Let me just make sure this is still up and running. So now the next tip that I want to get to is things to do with the views. This is another thing that's like almost seems like it's common knowledge, or almost is something you should know, and I haven't known anything about this until a few weeks ago, and this has helped me so much. I don't know much about the view tab in Xlights. I just kind of like figured out how to make it work. I made it work, and then I programmed everything in the view. But I did a lot of research about it and figured out how the views work. And I figured out you can add multiple views with just certain props in it, so it's easier to program your light show. So if this was a brand new song I just imported into Xlights and I'm ready to start programming, the very first thing I always do is program the singing faces. But to do that, it's kind of annoying because I have to come all the way down here and then find where the singing faces are. They're right here. And it's just like a congested area with lots of things around here, and it's hard to just see these 3 rows are their singing faces. Well, I added a view that only contains the chroma bulbs, and I can click that, and it will hide everything else, so you only see the 3 chroma bulbs. And so for this example, it helps a little bit, but what it really helps for is once you have effects everywhere and you're still adding to it. Let's say I had effects all over the place here, and I wanted to now add something to only the dragon and only work on the dragon. Well, I have the dragon down here, but there's other things around it that kind of just distract me. I can come to the view and click just dragon, and now it will only show models that are just for the dragon. And you might be wondering how this affects the rendering order, and I'll get to that in a second. But it's just been so helpful, because now I have one called all special items. So that's the moving heads, the wands and bracelets, any screens, the Tune 2 sign. And I also have groups for the moving heads and stuff. So all of these I have right here, and it just helps out a ton. I can just go through, click different things, all house. I have things that are just on the house. It just makes sequencing so much easier. Now, when you go to edit display elements, this is where you can edit all of your elements that are in your light show and what are showing currently for you to sequence. So if you put in new props, they're all going to show up in the available section. This is the section all the way on the left, and this is just, it's not assigned to anything yet, it's just there, and you can move it over so you can program it in the view. As you can see, I have a lot of things that are available that I don't have assigned. Like, all 100 P stakes I have right here, they're not going anywhere. That's just because I don't need all 100 of these to be clogging up this area that I see, which is right here. All I need is just the group to be able to program the P stakes. I don't program the P stakes anyway, other than putting effects on the groups for them. So I don't need to program each individual P stake, so I could just leave those here. Other things I have are like individual sections of the dragon. I don't need those because those are in groups already, and I could program that group, and it will still program these effects. I can't program these effects individually because they're not brought over, but I could if I wanted to bring them over. And then I have some other groups I think that I've made. Oh, this keeps snapping and it's starting to annoy me. It keeps going into there. 1 second. Let me just move this down here. Oh my goodness. Please stay there. Okay. Yeah, like I have a group down here called Tree Star. And some other ones. I don't need those right now, so I don't have them in here. I hope to make a tutorial soon about just this display elements tab, because I don't think I'm going to be able to explain it well enough while live, because I'm going to have to go back through and edit it. Or if I was to make a video about this, I could go back through and edit it so I can actually be like, I started rambling in this spot, let me cut that out, so that doesn't make it harder to just watch the video. Anyway, so there's always going to be one single view in the section of views up here. I have, as you can see, like, what is this, 10 views or something? The master view is the most important view of all. You don't have to use the master view when you're programming your light show. Like, I could just switch to a different view, program here. I don't have to use the master view. But the master view defines how everything is rendered and in what order. And to try and explain this simply, Xlights renders everything from top to bottom, or... Wait, this thing keeps snapping and it's really starting to annoy me. You know, I'll just make it full screen. There we go. It renders whatever's at the top. It makes these effects go onto the light show first. And then as you go down, it will put these effects that are towards the bottom on last. And I figured out the reason why I never have this full screen is because it cuts it off. Okay, I think I'm good now. The master view, yes. So, the order is just very important because it renders from top to bottom. So, at the top, normally what I like to do is have all of my groups at the top, because if I have an effect on the entire house, let's say, and I want that effect on everything except this one specific arch, and I want to put an effect on this arch, since the arches are lower in this list, that will render after the rest of the display has already rendered. So the entire display will render, and then it's like it's painting a canvas. Xlights will paint the entire light show, the whole display, everything. It'll let it dry, and then it will move on to the next thing, which is the arch, let's say, and now it'll be like, oh, well, I need to paint this on the arch too, so it will paint on top of what was already on that arch to cover it with this new effect. So, if the arch was above the entire display level and it was up higher, it would paint the arch first, just the arch, and then when it gets to the entire display, well, now it's going to want to paint over everything, so it's going to take like a huge brush and paint the entire display, but now the arch effect is going to get lost because it painted it over top of it. So this is going to get rendered first, and then it's going to render everything as it moves down the list. And you'll see I have some other elements down here, and the reason why I have the two entire display groups that are called rendered last is because I put those all the way at the very bottom of the rendering order. That way, if I do want any effects that are going to take over everything, if there's effects that are already out there, this will take over everything. This is like the master control group. So if I have everything on white, but I want a pinwheel to come and like explode sort of, so it covers the whole display, and just black to like make it fade out, or not fade out, just like explode so it disappears, I can take that and put it on the entire display rendered last, because Xlights is going to paint whatever's first, which is going to be the white effect, and then it will paint this thing very last. So this will go over top of everything. I don't use these groups often, but I do use them enough to where I enjoy having them there, and they're very easy to be down there. Because it just makes it easier when I'm programming to have things down there, not have to do a whole bunch of other things with the effects to make them appear the way I want. I could just put them over top of everything. New thing I have, right, or new chat, let's see. Labels, layouts. The next year, I forget where and how everything is laid out. Make names easy to recognize. Location and order definitely is a good idea. That is very true, and something I used to do in the past, which I don't even know why I did it now, is when the 2020 light show ended, I deleted everything so I could come back in and put it on brand new with the new effects, so I could remember how everything went, which at the time was okay because there was only like 6 new things I had to put up. But if last year's show ended and I was to delete everything and then to come back and put it all back on just so I could see, oh well, I'm gonna set this up this way so now I remember it, I would lose weeks of having to set that up, because or maybe not weeks, but days of having to set that up. And so that's why, like you said, tags are very important, labeling everything so you can remember their order and stuff. That's why I'm so happy that I found that out, so I don't have to do anything like that anymore. Coming back to here, so like I said, anything that's farther down the list is rendered last, meaning it's going to be on top. So the master view, you have to organize perfectly correctly with how you want everything to be rendered. So like, I want the arches to be rendered before the candy canes, so that way the candy canes will be rendered after the arches, and it won't cover anything because the arches and candy canes don't share any pixels, but it will just be rendered lower down. But that way, if I was to put an effect on the all candy canes group, and then an effect on just 4, or just candy cane number 4, since that's rendered after the whole group, it's going to repaint over top of what already happened. So I hope I explained that kind of well. Like I said, I'm going to make a video and actually like write a script, and so I can read it and be like able to make it understandable. So your master view, just make sure you organize this correctly. That way that your rendering looks the way you want it to. Now, the master view, you can change this for every single sequence. So for this sequence right here, I could readjust some of these elements, and then in another sequence, put them back the way they were. So if, let's say, in this sequence, I want the candy cane props to not be rendered last and not paint over top of the candy cane group, I could move those so they're like above the candy cane group. That way the whole candy cane group will paint over whatever the candy canes already did. And then for the next sequence, I could put it back a different way. So the master view can always change. This is just basically telling Xlights how you want everything rendered. The reason I don't, and most people don't sequence on this, is because it can put things out of order. You might have to put things in weird staggered orders, which makes the rendering look good, but then when you go to sequence, it's just a whole mess and everything's unorganized. That's why you can create more views and organize them however you want without messing with the rendering order, and it makes it much neater. So right here I have the main view, which is actually very similar to the master view. There's a few things changed, but like down here I have some other props lower than they are on the master view, but that's because I always keep these lower. I keep things that are less important lower, like the moving heads, because I'm not going to program those until the rest of the light show is programmed. So I'm not going to need to worry about those. I could just keep them down low. So I can go through the main view and organize these in any way I want so it looks correct, but Xlights is still going to follow the rendering order of the master view, which is why the master view is the most important. So I could, let's say, take the entire arches group and put that all the way at the bottom, so that would paint over top of anything that happens on the arches, or it would seem like it would, but it wouldn't, because in the master view it's not set like that. I just have the all arches group at the bottom so it's easier to organize, if I was to be doing that in this example. And you also don't have to have all of the props in each view. You could create other views like I did with other props in it. So like the all house group, I only have these props in it, but it's not like it's going to delete the other effects when I change views because they still exist within the master view and the other views. It's just you're not currently looking at that spot. I feel like I could explain this in a much better way if I get time to, like, make a good script that makes sense. But right now I'm just trying to explain how I am doing it quickly. Well, not even quickly, just explain it, but I don't know how the best way to do it is. Now the thing with all these other views is anything you change, that will affect all of the sequences. So the master view, that is the only view you could change for each sequence, and it will stay like that. But with these other groups, if you change something, it's also going to change it in the other sequences you've already sequenced. So that's why you want to try and get these correct from the beginning, and that's why I have my main view perfectly organized. So I know this is how I want it to be forever. I can still make some changes to it. It's not going to affect the sequence. It's just going to affect where the effects are on the screen, so it's going to look different for you, but not change how it's rendered at all. So yeah, and then I can go to the master view and take a look at how everything is actually rendered. And on the master view, anything up here is rendered first. It's going to paint this picture, let it dry, paint this picture. If anything needs to cover, go on top of the other picture, it's going to paint over that, and so on and so forth down the list. But the main tip that I'm trying to say out of this is adding multiple views makes it so easy, so I could just go between different sections of the display and program those separately. Like if I put it, let's say I'm going to put an effect right now. I'm going to put an on effect on all arches. Let's turn on the house preview. Where is it at? Right here. So you can see all of the arches are on. If I switch my view to all flakes, so I can program the flakes now, the arches are still there. You can still see the effects. They're right there. It's just you don't see them on the timeline. That way it's more organized. Now I can make like Snowflake 2. We can make that be the color red. And both of those effects are still there even though they're not on the timeline. Because if I go back to my main view where everything else is, I could still see I have that effect up here. And then if I go all the way down, my snowflake effect is down here. I see some new chats. Let me read these quickly. My layout is 3D one. I never succeed to record a simulated show with a different point of view from the corner of the street, per example. Can you show us how to save the position of the view? So are you trying to say when you're like recording the light show in real life that the effects just don't look right because you're looking at it from a corner? Or is this something that you're talking about with Xlights? Let me try and read it again. My layout is... I just want to make sure I'm understanding your question correctly before I answer it. So, yeah, I'll wait till you respond with that. And then, can you watch several viewpoints play back at once? Do you mean like have multiple views open at once? Because you can have just, like, if I have just the all flakes view open right now, I could still hit play, and the sequence will go through and show everything that is happening in the display, whether it's in this timeline or not. So it's still going to show everything. Do you mean... I'm also not quite sure what you mean with that question. So if you could just, like, clarify what exactly you mean with that so I could answer that correctly, just so I'm not answering it wrong. I don't think there's really anything else, though, I need to get into with the views. It was just I learned that I can make these different things, and it happened, and it helped me so much. Copy of master view, the reason I have this view is I just made an exact copy of the master view. That way, if something ever happened and I messed up something in the old one, I could use the copy. And I can, if I open back up the display elements, I can go to the copy of master and click this, which button is it? Is it this? Oh, it is this button. I could click the copy to master button, so that will make the master view now whatever it was in this view, and that way it's easier to go back and, like, just fix something if I mess it up. One additional thing too that I learned that I did not know is your timing tracks can also be moved within different views. So right now in the main view, I have this new timing track, and actually to make this easier to show, I'm going to open a sequence I have. I'm just going to make sure my computer is muted though, so I don't play copyright music. Let me open a sequence I made. 1 second. Let me I'm going to just switch to here for a second while I come here. 2025 sequences. It is loading. Give it 1 second. Here we go. We can open it back up. It's still loading though. So this is a sequence I just started working on. This is the song Born for This by The Score. The reason I'm doing this song, it's not Christmas related at all, but I wanted to be able to have a part in the light show where it's like a tribute to all of the first responders, all of the fire departments around here, the police departments, everyone. And I thought this would be a really good song. And also, I had some cool ideas with what I could do with the moving heads for it, so that's another reason why I have it. I'm just going to play it quickly and make sure that the sound won't go here. Oh, wait, I could just mute it here. I forgot I could do that. Yeah, now it's muted. Can you have 3 different view windows play simultaneously, helping to see what things are going to look like in real-time playback? So what you're saying is you just want to be able to see all of the effects on the timeline at once then, right? Is that, am I reading that correctly, or am I still not understanding it? Because if you do, then what you want is to make sure that you have your main view, and that way this will show every single prop. You want to put every single element in your whole display that you'll be using in here. Use this as your main view, that way you can look at everything, all of the effects at once. Is that kind of what you were looking for, or was it something else? The other things are just to show you specific sections so you don't have to... Okay, yes, that was what you're looking for. So, yeah, what you want to have, the 2 main things you want the master view, which is the rendering order, and then you want your main view, which shows all of your props. You can organize it in any way you want because it won't affect the master view. That way you can see all of your effects at once, and then you can go through and program things like, if I only want to program the flakes right now, I could make a whole sequence of the snowflakes, go back to the main view, and everything I did will just show up right here now. It will be, I don't know why I'm pointing at the screen, you can't see it. Everything will now be on the flakes here that you just did in the other view. If you put an effect on one view, it's going to make it show up on all the other views. So, yeah. Let's see. So, in this sequence here, what did I come to the sequence for now? I can't even remember. Oh, timing tracks, yes. So, in my main view, I have all of these different timing tracks up here. I have a moving head timing track for just sequencing the moving heads. I have one for the lyrics, one for the main timing, timing 2, and timing 3. In the chroma bulbs one, I only have the lyrics timing track and the moving head timing track. I don't know why I have the moving head timing track there. But, I have the lyrics timing track here. That way, I can look at just timing marks that are specific for the chroma bulbs, which are only going to be the lyrics ones. And the way I can adjust this is hit the edit display elements, and you can see I have the timing tracks here. I can just drag this and pull it out, and now it's not there. Now I only have the moving head timing, and if we look, the timing track for the singing faces is gone in this view. But I don't want that because I want to be able to see those, obviously, so I'm going to put that back in here. And the only place I don't think you can move it is the master view. I don't think you... Yeah, you can't... Oh, yeah. If you remove any timing track from the master view, that's going to delete it. So, anything you remove from the master view is going to delete whatever was on it. So, don't ever take anything off the master view if you have effects or timing marks on it. So, on the main view, I have all of these timing tracks here. But if, let's say on all the entire house, I have the moving head timing there too. Let's say timing 3 is what I have for timing marks that are just related to the house. I could grab timing 3, move that over, close this window, and now timing 3 shows up for everything that's on the house. That makes it really easy, and it's just so helpful. So that's basically everything with the views. kind of want to show a spoiler of something what I've done with the moving heads, but I can't play the music with it. So let me just move this quickly. New question. How are you making a timing track? The way you do that is on your timing tracks that you see in Xlights, you can right click them and hit add timing track. You can rename it and you can set the timing track to have some defaults already. Like it will make a timing mark every 50 milliseconds automatically if you want it to. And then once you have that timing track, you can go into the display elements, which is this button up here, or you could just right click like I do and hit edit display elements. And then you can move that timing track to be in whatever views you want it to be. So let me just see if this looks good. Oh yeah, it does. Okay, so if you want to see what part of the sequence will look like with the music, you'll just have to look up the music afterwards and imagine, or like play it back with this afterwards. But I have some effects on the moving heads right now, so it does these cool effects with the beat, like right when the main part of the sequence comes. And it's kind of hard. I can't show you how cool it looks because I can't play the music. But something I'll show quickly is, as you can see, maybe it might not be hooked up correctly, right? Oh, I gotta zoom out. That's why. Maybe. Is it not hooked up? I wanted to show how the extra moving head effects, or extra moving head models I put, show the values of it, but I don't think it's working right now. I might have changed something with the channels and it might have messed that up, so I'll have to go back and fix that later. It's kind of hard to show any spoilers though because I can't play music. Every year I try to add one copyright-free song just so I can show how I sequenced that, but it's very hard because there's not many good copyright-free songs. Now can you play back, front, and corner view at the same time? Can you play back, front, and corner view? Are these views that you happen to have? If you have like a back, if these are like just names that you have for your views, a back, front, and a corner view, if you want both of those to play at the same time, you'd have to use your main view or make another view with both those things combined in the view. Yeah. So did I understand that correctly? I'm not good at understanding questions apparently. Now I don't think there's any more tips really. The main ones I wanted to show are just these like ease of life tips, or like things that make sequencing very easy, or easier. Sequencing is never easy. It can be easy if you want to do something quickly, but I personally want to just make the best sequence like I talked about earlier in the stream, so it's not easy for me. I have something all set up on my calendar right now. I want there to be like 9 or 10 songs in the Christmas light show, but I don't know if I'm gonna have enough time to program all those, so I have like a goal date that every like 2 weeks I have to have another sequence done to be on track with other things that I'm doing. So yeah. Now there are just 2 or 3 more things I want to do before we wrap up the stream. First, I wanted to show one other interesting thing I've started doing these past few years. So let me open that up while I find it. Okay, I think I have it. Yes, here we go. So, let me switch to here. Here we go. So, this is something I've started doing recently. YouTube has royalty-free music on desktop of studio. It's instrumental. I do know that, but I want to make sure that the song, I want it to be in the light show because I don't want to spend a bunch of time programming something for a video, but then not be able to use it in the light show. There's nothing saying I couldn't use it in the light show, but I have looked in the YouTube audio library, and most of it is okay music, but nothing really I'd ever want in the light show. So this is something I started doing recently. Because of the size and scale of the light show, I have started putting, like, or making graphics that show where exactly everything is going to be and what's going to be needed in that area. Just because I can't just be like, make a mental note of it now, because I'd have a million mental notes of everything for the light show. So, all of these little squares I have on this screen, and I used Canva to make this just because it's easy. I use Canva. Each of these squares are going to be a controller box. So there's some new. Did I add a controller box? I think I just am moving one around. So like, so let's start off with the tree. Number 3 right here. That's the third controller box, and the box is going to be right where that box is. And anything in a green within the green is what that box controls. So this box is going to control the mega tree, the star, the window, and the wreath. This is what it always controls. This is the one I always show in the behind the scenes. And then like box 4, which is in the garage, is going to control all of the things that are in that circle. Box 2 is going to control everything that's in that area. And then box 1 is going to control almost everything in the yard, and box 5 will control this part of the yard. I also have this 6 box over here, and that's going to be somewhere around here, and that's going to be just for the projector shining at the snow globe that I was talking about earlier. And then if we come down here, I have a thing that shows what's going to be inside each box and some information about it, just because this helps me be able to visualize it and make it a lot less stressful of what needs to be done with each box. So let's start with box 1. Box 1 is left yard, and this controls, so this is going to control the dragon, the Toon 2 sign, which the Toon 2 sign isn't going to be there. I just left it there for now. 2 candy canes, 2 arches, snow globe, 100 pea sticks, 5 mini trees, 5 mini tree stars, and a partridge in a pear tree. No. It's going to control all of that. I did the math. That is 1,951 pixels, and running at 30% brightness, which is what I use for my light show. That's going to be 35.11 amps on the DC side, so 12 volts DC and 35 amps. I'm going to be using about 15 ports of this controller, which is crazy because I've been known to use almost all differential receivers for everything, but get controllers that aren't, their main goal is to have pixels directly attached to it. So this is the first time I'm going to become near to maxing out the ports on a pixel controller. The reason for this is I need 8 ports alone for the dragon. Each leg takes 1, the body takes 1, the wings each take 1, the head takes 1, and then I'm going to need data wires for all of the pea sticks, for the Toon 2 sign, for the snow globe, for everything. So I'm going to have to use about 15 ports on the controller. And then this 4 PI right here, PI I have stand for power injection. So I'm estimating that there's going to be 4 outputs of power injection I'll need. And that's why I have this little board in here. This is a power distro board that I'm hoping to put in there. And it has E-fuses on it, so I can finally control a whole section of lights that has power injection because the power distribution board has E-fuses on it. So that'll be interesting to look at later once I get that. And then right here where it says Max RA 46, that stands for, what I have it stand for, is recommended amps. That is the recommended amount of amps that I should not go over that controller box using. And the way I figure that out is I'm going to have 2 350 watt mean well power supplies in there. Each of them can control 30 amps of 12 volt DC, but they recommend only using 80%. And the reason for that is you can use all of it if you want, but you shouldn't use all of it for an extended period of time. You should only plan on using 80% of the power supply or less for an extended period of time. And 80% of 30 is like 23 something. So I shouldn't go over 46 amps being used in this box. There's a way to record virtually the show via a tools tab. I think so, as per it will appear outside. Can you show us how the tool work in 3D layout view? Mine records show. I'm assuming you said yours records your show, but it's too close. Okay. I'll come back to that in a second. I'm just going to finish up with these boxes. In here you can see box 2, which is for the roof. It's going to have these 2 differential receivers. And I even have them showing which version differential receiver they're going to be, because I don't have all V5 receivers. Power supplies, tells you the maximum amount of pixels, all of that, blah, blah, blah. The garage is going to be controlling the moving headlights and also the wands and the bracelets, because this is the only controller that has DMX available that I'll be able to use, since the Dragon is going to be using DMX for the fog machine for only the Halloween light show. And that's the other thing I'm going to get to before I finish up what's going to happen for the Halloween light show. But, yeah, and then box 6, this shows there's going to be like a network switch in there for connecting controllers to. There's going to be, a projector in there and a Raspberry Pi. I have some notes written down too. And all of the boxes, except for box 4, are going to be differential receivers connected to box 1. So I'm going to have Ethernet cables going everywhere. You do all that with 5 boxes, a wire nightmare. Yes, very much so. I'm assuming you use more boxes then, or do you just not have as much in your show? I know people that have boxes for everything. Like, they'll have separate differential receivers for everything. I kind of like to meet in the middle, where I have some differential receivers, but also some longer cable runs. Just because I don't want, like, 17 controller boxes that I have to manage across the yard. With your comment, though, I am concerned about box 1, because I'm going to have 19 cables coming out of a CG5 box. 15 for the pixel ports, 4 for the power injections, and then we're going to need a power cord going in there to power the power supplies. And then I'm going to need 4 Ethernet cables to also fit in there. So you have the 4 Ethernet cables, the 19 cords, so 20 with the extra power cord to power it. So I have to get 24 cables to fit into a CG5 or a CG 1500 box. I'm not sure how that will work. We'll see. I might have to get a bigger box, but I love CG 1500 boxes, so I don't really want to get any other ones. We'll see though. And then the final page is I have a layout of exactly what is inside each individual box. So like box 3, there's going to be a tree that has 1754 pixels, a star that has 270, a window that has 44, so on and so forth, and then the total numbers at the bottom. All this is to just help me be able to visualize where everything's going to have to go, because there's so many cables now, so much stuff. So this really helps me be able to visualize it, and also helps me to be able to show my parents, like, hey, this isn't this difficult to do because you just do this, this, and this. It helps give me a picture of what's going to happen. So, yeah. The only reason I'm showing this is because I recommend if you're getting to a point where you are struggling to manage everything and can't picture it, you could just come up with this box, or not with this box, come up with this, draw out your layout, take a picture of it, and draw all over it, and show where everything is going to go to. I do LOR, just 12 universes, all daisy-chained in the universe, resembles a spider. Ah, okay. So, that makes sense. Is it hard for you to manage? Because I'm used to managing all of these cables. I am almost at my wit's end with it, though. There's just so many. I have to label them all now, because if I put all the cables in the box at the end of the year and pull them out, it would be a mess. So I have labels for everything. And there won't be any more wires after this light show that I have to worry about, since I'm not going to be doing any more after this. So, yeah. Now to go back to Pixel Vision's question, which was in Xlights, there's a way to record the show. So yes, there is a way to record the show. If you go into Tools, and where is it? It is somewhere around here. Or is it in File? It's in File. Export House Preview Video. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. It's in the File window. What that does is, if you were to open your house view right now, that will do whatever your house view looks like. It will take a video of your whole sequence with whatever your house preview looks like currently. So right now, if I was to export a video, it would export it looking at this angle. If I was to turn this and go like this, it's now going to export a video looking this direction. And if I was to go like this, it's going to export a video looking in this direction. Now, something I've heard that I recommend is, before you export it, make your house preview window as big as possible. That way, it can capture when it's exporting the video. I'm not sure why Xlights does this, but it almost just basically screen records whatever your house preview is doing. So just make the window as big as you can and get your display to look in the right area, like where you want it to see. So If I wanted to export a video looking at this angle, I'd move my house so it's here. If I wanted to go from this angle, I'd move it to be here. It's not too complicated. Just make your screen big and do that. From Let's Be Frank, not customizing node count lengths, no injection. It's limited to layout, less freedom. Yeah, that does make sense. I like having the large amount of freedom with the light show, because this goes back to what I was saying way earlier in the stream, how I just want to be able to create an amazing, like, Broadway awesome type show that everyone can sit and just take it in and enjoy. So I like having every little bit of control I can get, even if that means more work in the end. So I'm getting close to being about finished. There's just one more thing I wanted to talk about, which is the Halloween light show. This year, the Halloween light show is probably going to suck. And I'm just going to be straight up and honest, because I'm putting all of my work into the Christmas light show this year. Last year was a little bit more Halloween over Christmas because I wanted to build the dragon. I spent most of the time working on the dragon. I did that. That was fun. But now I got to focus on Christmas, because since this is the final year, I want the final show to be mind-blowing. So for Halloween, I'm not adding anything new at all. And the dragon's still going to be in the Halloween light show. It's going to be here, though, instead of where the tree is, because I don't want to have to move it once Halloween's done and Christmas comes, so it'll be there. And the candy cane and bow obviously won't be on it. The fog machine will be used again for the Halloween light show, but I won't be using it for the Christmas light show, just because I think I have already so many things I'm doing with the Christmas light show, and I am afraid it's going to be too cold by then for the fog machine. I don't want it to get broken. And I'm also running out of, like, DMX things. My show is getting so many more DMX props, but I don't really have a lot of connections to it, because there's only 3 connections I can use on my F16V3 for DMX, and the F16V5 removed 2 of them, so I can only use 1 connection. So unless I was to daisy chain all my DMX stuff, I am a little bit limited on that. Do you do fire props? I wish, but unfortunately no, just because I feel like that's going a little bit too far. That's almost like with the lasers. And I feel like it's too dangerous, honestly. I don't want the show to be dangerous. The fire, I'd be concerned about that running, especially if I have to leave when the light show's running. I have the light show set up so it can almost run perfectly by itself. So if I need to go on a week's vacation during Christmas time, I can leave. The show will run all by itself perfectly fine. But with fire, I don't know how I'd feel about that, and I'd also have to pay for whatever the fuel is and refueling it, and just a mess. So yeah, back to the Halloween light show. The Halloween light show is going to look exactly like last year, except the dragon's going to be moved to a new place. I will have the 5th arch still in the middle, since the snow globe won't be there. But unfortunately, one of the arches will be retired when Christmas time comes, since I will have to put the snow globe there. And what else? I think that's it. I don't even know if I'm going to do much sequencing for the Halloween light show. I might just reuse sequences. Just because, like I said, I want to be able to spend all the time on Christmas. That's it. Christmas. Only Christmas. Make it awesome. Make it huge. And yeah, I think I covered basically everything I wanted to in this stream. I talked about some tips. I hope to make some tutorials about these specific tips, or maybe just like the views thing. There's a lot of videos I want to make, but with the light show, it's just so much stuff that I can unfortunately not work on videos as much as I'd like to. My goal would be to have videos out every single week, but I can't do that. New chat from Let's Be Frank. Can you incorporate TV screens in Windows? I can only do 1 video, so 2 windows are identical. I can only do 1 video, so yes, you can use TV screens and light shows. You'd set them up just like a matrix in Xlights, and then you'd have to be using I don't think you have to be using Falcon Player. You might be able to use Xschedule, but if you're using Falcon Player as your software to like schedule and run your light show, you can hook your screens directly into the HDMI port on the Raspberry Pi. If you have a Raspberry Pi 4, there's two HDMI ports. They're micro HDMI ports, but you can hook a screen to each of those. If you have an older one, there's only one HDMI port, so you would need two Raspberry Pis, one for each TV. But yes, you can incorporate TV screens into your light show. I think I do have a really old video talking about how I incorporated a projector into our light show, and that is the exact same process. The projector and TV is the same. It is really old though. I don't know if it is still up to date or would be useful. I'm so used to recording videos that I was gonna say I'll leave a link to it up here, but I'm live, so I can't link it. But there is a video somewhere. It's an older video, and it's titled like how to use TV screens or projectors in your light show or something like that. But I think I'm almost finished with this. If anyone has any other comments or questions, feel free to leave them now. I'll stay out online for a few more seconds, or a few more minutes. So if there's any other questions, I can help answer them. I have a text thing. Let me go back to here. So I have a thing where I wrote down a bunch of stuff that I should talk about. Let me make sure I covered everything. Talked about tips, talked about what's happening this year, talked about, yeah, I think I covered everything then. So the next video, just to give you a little teaser about it that I'm working on, I talked about this also at the end of the last video. It's going to be something I've never done before. Back in February, I link in corner, too funny. Yeah, I'll link it in the top. No, I can't put it there because I might be able to while I'm live, but this is my first time ever live streaming, so I have no idea how to do it. So what was I saying? I got to go to a food pantry in the area in February. This is the food pantry that the light show always helps out, that we have the food drives for, and that's where all the money goes from when we sell the wands and bracelets and stuff. And I wanted to go there to record where everything goes and be able to show everyone. But I haven't really been working on that video because I feel like there's something more I could do with it. And I finally figured it out. There's like a message I'm going to include with the video. It's not going to be light show related at all. It's a really interesting video. I want to put a lot of work into it. So that's going to take me some time. It's mostly filmed. I have to edit it. But that's your teaser into what's coming next. So, I don't see any more comments coming in. Can you have an audience control the light show? Yes, you can. That is something that I did before. I've stopped doing it now. The reason is because the show is like an actual show now. It has to go in order for it to make sense because like there's skits that happen. Well, they don't have to. This year I'm planning on skits that are going to be important at the end. They progress through. So I can't have people controlling the show because if they were to like play a different song and it plays out of order, then it wouldn't make sense. Kind of like Dove Stop mixing. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Is that something I don't know about? Let me look that up quickly. Okay, I'm assuming that's... I'm not sure what that is. I didn't get anything when I looked it up. But, there's two main ways that people can control your show. The main one is allowing them to pick which songs come next. And there's a software called Falcon Player. Or not, Falcon Player. Yeah, there is a software called Falcon Player, but that's not for this. There's a software called Remote Falcon, which allows you to integrate it with Falcon Player. And you can design a website or use a custom built one so you don't have to worry about it, and it'll make this thing for you. And then on the website you can add buttons so people can vote for which song plays next, or they can just select it themselves. You can have a queue, or you can have them vote, and it was really cool. I used it one year of the show, but I stopped using it just because it was a little chaotic to manage for me personally. So that's the first way. They can control what happens next in the show, either by voting from their car, by going on the website, on their phone, hitting the button, or have a queue. And if you do want to check that out, I won't be leaving a video up here, a link to it, because I can't do that. Just look up Remote Falcon on my channel, and I'm sure you'll find the video. And then the other way, like Disc Rocky making a live mix with your shows. I've also, not gonna lie, I've not heard of that before. Let me look that up quickly. I have not seen that either, and I'm not quite sure what it is, but I think it's related to the second way someone can control a show, which is you can set up elements for them to actually do things that make pixels and things in the show do stuff. So you can like set up buttons they can push, so certain things flash. You could set up a camera out front that they can walk on, and then have the camera go across the whole light show or just on a screen. That just gave me an awesome... I just had one of those light bulb moments right now. Wow, I need to type this down and save it. I should hook that up so people can walk up and the camera goes onto the snow globe. That would be so awesome if the camera connected live to the snow globe. This is what happens during the beginning part of the season of the light show. I just get these ideas, and throughout the whole season, honestly, they just pop into my head at the most random time, and I'm like, write that down, write that down. So, yeah. So, yeah, I have that written down now. Where was I? I got distracted. So you can hook up buttons, you can hook up cameras, you could even hook up things so they stand in front of like a motion sensor or like proximity sensor, and then it can outline them on like pixel matrices and stuff, which I really think is awesome, and I've wanted to do it for so long, but I don't have a practical reason to. So unfortunately, I have almost no idea how it works. I know how you can hook up buttons to a Raspberry Pi and all of that, but maybe that could be some sort of project I do sometime in the future. I just don't see myself doing it anytime soon because I don't have a reason to. Our neighborhood is kind of cramped, and we don't usually have too many people get out of their vehicles, so I don't know if it'd even be useful if someone would want to get out of their vehicle to use it. But they make live mixes with your sequences. Okay. I'm sure there probably is a way. You could keep Xlights open on a computer. This is just, I don't know how you're planning on doing this, whether you'd be out there with them or just leave it up to them to do it, but you could have Xlights open and show them how to just move effects onto certain props, and then just play have Xlights outputting to the lights. But I don't know of any other way you could do that. So that's what I'm thinking. I would have to do some research, or you would have to do some research or something. I'm not sure how exactly to make it work without having to like constantly manage it. I think though, I'm gonna see if there's any other questions before I finish, and then I'm gonna wrap this up. Get working on sequencing and working on this food pantry video. And I'm just waiting to see if there's any other comments or questions before I finish. If not, within like a minute or two, I'll just move on. I need to find a way to stall while people write questions. What can I stall about? I don't think there's anything interesting to. I think I covered everything that would be interesting. Yeah. I think all the questions and comments have been answered then. So, now, I didn't get enough time to work on this before the stream started, but I wanted to make... Thanks for all the tricks. Yeah, no problem. I hope this live stream was useful. I know I have a very bad habit of talking fast, which is why I like recording videos, because I can go back and be like, wow, I talked fast. Let me slow down and try and explain that more. So hopefully this was useful. And like I said, I hope to make at least one video about some of these tricks in the future, like with the views. If you want to see more live streams, let me know. I'm planning on these to mostly be for members content, since that's one of the things I set to be with members only stuff. Maybe I'll still have live streams every now and then. Make a keyboard of... Ooh, okay. Yeah, you could set up like a piano or a keyboard or something. Do you mean, when you said keyboard, the first thought that came to my mind was a piano, but you might mean like an actual keyboard. But yeah, just hit buttons and it can have like things pop up. That is definitely doable. I just can't tell you how. I have a general idea, but it's just, I'm not 100% sure of the main thing. So yes, it is possible. There's probably not going to be much information online on how to do it. You're just going to have to... The way I know about most of these things is just from fiddling around with buttons and figuring them out myself and just messing with settings. Because it never really hurts to mess with settings unless, like, your show is coming up next week. But it never hurts to mess around, so just check with some of the settings and... Yeah. So that's going to be it. Anyway, what I was saying is I have a screen that says thanks for watching like I have at the end of all my videos, and I wanted to time it perfectly so that I can have the music go right when the video ends like I do in all my videos. So let me see if I can make this work. Can you... I think you can still hear me. Let me turn on my camera. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay. Let's start playing this. This is the normal outro music I use, so here comes an epic outro. Let me... Okay. I gotta figure out where it is. It's at like 42 seconds. Okay, now for my normal spiel. Thank you everyone for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section below, and I'll try to respond as soon as I can. But other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next live stream.